and gentlemen, we are going to be hosting our second city council uh, forum tonight. We appreciate the candidates for coming on and joining with us. We have as our hostess tonight, Ms. Loretta Morris, the first vice for the Clarksville branch of NAACP. Loretta, they're yours.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight we are hosting our forum for City Council Ward 4. Okay. We are ensuring that everybody knows who your candidates are, so that when you go to vote, okay, you know who you would want to vote for. Okay. Tonight we invited everyone, but the only two people that showed up is Timothy Chandler and Margaret Thompson. Okay. We are going to give them 2 minutes, okay, to introduce themselves and tell us what their platform is. Okay. Margaret, would you like to start first?
First, I'd like to thank you for having me tonight. Well, first I want to say your hair looks cute like that. I've never seen it that way.
Oh, thank you.
And thank you for having me. I am a middle school teacher. I have a degree in liberal studies with a 5th year teaching credential, a master's degree in mental health counseling. I have 18 years teaching experience. I'm actually hold a teacher credential in K-8 social studies, K-8 math, K-8 science, and K-8 reading language arts, pre-K-12 English language learners, and pre-K-12 special education. So I am educated. I have lived in several states, in cities that have millions of people, and I've lived in whole counties that had no stoplights. So I have a lot of different cultural and life experiences that not everybody can say they've had. So I like to say I'm experienced, been around the block a couple times. My mom says I've lived more life than she has, and you know, she's my mom. And then I do a lot of stuff in the community. So I have a junior Civitan program that's won many awards. I'm the partner and education representative for my school site, a member of the teachers union. I've ran I've ran a nonprofit. I've worked for other nonprofits. So I like to say that I'm also effective in the community. So, so my name is Margaret Thompson, and I'm running for City Council Ward 4. Thank you.
All right, Margaret, do me a favor, will you please? Can you let everybody know where your ward is? Where in Clarksville is your ward?
Ward 4 starts at East Pine Mountain, where the Kenwood complex is. It goes down all the way down Peacher's Mill. So it takes that whole block down to New Providence. Down Peacher's Mill, if you know where Hillsboro is, it crosses over Peacher's Mill at Hillsboro and cuts through that neighborhood. It goes all the way out to the Rural King is, to Lafayette, and then goes down Dover Road, and then down that Lafayette side, it kind of cuts around through like Ashley and Somerset and off in through there and to the city limits.
Okay, thank you, and I appreciate that. Just so everybody know where you are advocating for. Okay, all right, Tim, you're up next. Please tell us about yourself and what your platform is.
All right, thank you very much. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm Tim Chandler. A little bit about myself. I'm a retired police officer with 34 years service. I was born and raised in what is called New Providence. I went to Burns Darden Elementary. Back then it was called New Providence Junior High School, and then the graduate of Northwest, and attended Austin P. I've been the councilman for the last 4 years, and my platform has been from day one, getting the uncontrolled growth in check. We had a situation come up the other day. Well, it actually started a couple of years ago, where that a developer came to us and wanted us to annex about 105 10 acres into the city limits out on Tylertown Road. And I was staunchly opposed to it because of all the overgrowth that's been in that area for the last 12 years. It passed anyway, and they're having to work on the road, on Tylertown Road. And we got an estimate the other day just to move the gas and water utilities is going to cost the city, well, that isn't necessarily taxpayer money, it's ratepayer money, but it's still $550,000, over $500,000 in road improvements. That if we would have just been smart and gone along with smart growth, you know, that would have been an item that we wouldn't be paying so much for. My heart lies in Ward 4 because, like I said, I was born and raised in Ward 4, Circle Hill Drive, and I have watched out for the residents. You know, we got and people don't realize that government wheels run real slow. They don't never seem to get enough grease on them, to say. And we have, myself, building codes, the city attorney, and the mayor, we have pushed hard and got an ordinance in to clean up, especially in the Providence area. If you drive through the Providence, right there at Vacation Motel is a car, a repair shop. There's been an old green car been sitting there for 10, 12 years, no tags, not running, and it's just an eyesore. We have worked hard, and I worked with, I'll think of the county commissioner's name here in just a second, Mr. Woodruff. We worked real hard on getting the Providence cleaned up, and we're doing a good job with it right now. We've got this new ordinance put in. There are more African-American businesses in Clarksville, I mean, in the Providence area now, there's been in a long time. And it's time that we start looking at these situations and look hard. So my promise to the people is I will continue to work hard for the everyday citizen of Ward 4 and the city of Clarksville. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, all right, let us start with our first question. Okay. Let's see, council members are representatives of citizens of the ward that elect them to office. You would be the person who speaks on behalf of your constituents. When making major decisions, would you include the preference of your constituents? If yes, how? Margaret, would you start first, please? You have to unmute yourself, honey. Margaret, unmute yourself, please. We can't hear you.
I swear I pushed that button. Technology, it works when you want it to. Anyway, as a person elected by the people, I feel like I should represent the people, and I think communication is key. The people need to be informed as to what's going on with the city, what votes are coming up, what options that they have, so that they can develop informed opinions as to what's going on. I know a lot of city council members talked about maybe having community meetings. I know right now I would not have a community meeting. I think that with the COVID and different things that are going on, for me, that's just not a healthy choice. But there are like social medias and emails and newsletters that we can do, electronic communications that we could communicate different ways, or phone calls or text messages that we could get the word out, and so we could talk to one another and just have an open communication, so they can know what's going on and to give me their informed opinions, and I can vote on behalf of the people, because that is my job as an elected official, is to convey the will of the people to the government. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Margaret. Tim?
Yes, I am one of those that don't hold the monthly meetings. I was going to when I was first elected, and I went to some of the other council members meetings, and 8, 6, 5 people showing up. And so what my theory is I'm going to give you my cell phone number. And my cell phone number is posted on the city website, and it's also on my business cards. And I want a person to call me. I want them to not be limited to amount of time. I don't want them to have to get up from the supper table to run and go to a meeting. I want them to feel free to pick up the phone, text me, whatever they want to do, and contact me, because you're exactly right. I represent the people of Ward 4. That is my number one objective, and of course, overall citizens of Clarksville. But you know, I'm accessible. And like Miss Thompson said, you know, especially right now, I wound up having to quarantine for 3 weeks because I was exposed. By my son exposed me. I'll get him back someday. But he exposed me. He tested positive for coronavirus. I spent all day one Sunday with him, and you know, right now with the coronavirus, I have too much respect for people's health. And I know before I got into being a councilman, I didn't want nobody bothering me at 5:30, 6 o'clock. That's my family time. That's time for me to sit down and eat, discuss with my family what's gone on that day, and help them take care of their problems. I'm not trying to sell the people of Ward 4 short, but I'll give them just as much time as I give my own family, and I will represent them with my full, wholehearted attention. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, now I'm going to give each 2 minutes for to answer the questions, okay? When you get down to 30 seconds, I will hold up my little sign and let you know, okay? All right. Eminent domain is a legal term used to assist governing bodies in acquiring property not otherwise available to them. As a member of the council, how would you advocate when considering this method of acquiring property? Tim, would you go first, please?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I learned my first year on the council about eminent domain. And what the city of Clarksville has in place is a rule that says, number one, we go out and we send 2 independent appraisers, and they are not from Clarksville. They come out of Nashville. They come down, they independently appraise the property, and we offer the person 15% above what the appraisal comes in. In some instances, we offer a little more than that when the person can show that that it's going to be more of a burden for them to be able to move off their property. I'm not for going in and taking the person's property and not giving them the a fair shake in the deal, for lack of a better term. You'll never see me vote to come in and take somebody's property that below market value, and if it causes an undue burden and hardship on them, then I will have to think about it, and long and hard. And I'm one of the few councilmen that when an item comes up, I go drive to it. I don't just look at what those things are at the meetings and what the council puts out. I drive to the area, I look it over, and then I make my decision on by just getting input from the citizens and looking at the area. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Margaret?
Well, I know it occurs. Neville's Chapel, which is the church I attend, used to sit where the second lane of Highway 76 now runs. So I know it does occur in Clarksville, but the Fifth Amendment provides that just compensation be provided if that was to occur. I know in the Clarksville Now interview, one of the candidates suggested that New Providence be one of the roads that is expanded. So I happened to talk to a few residents on not New Providence, I'm sorry, Pollard Road is one of the roads that is expanded. And I talked to a couple of the people that lived on Pollard Road and they were kind of angry. They are not for an expansion. They're not for giving up any of their property. And I know other roads like Trenton and Needmore are also being talked about being expanded. It's something you have to really look at, and if the people are for it, because it's their land, then yes. But if, like, you know, if you're going to say, hey, we're taking it anyway, then I'm gonna have a problem with it. I'm gonna have to weigh what's better for the people as opposed to what the city wants. I'm not excited about MA at all. It's not my favorite. But it's going to be a case-by-case basis. And I would prefer that the people involved be willing participants and be, like the Fifth Amendment says, justly compensated.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay. Citizens who are members of Black Lives Matters are holding protests advocating for racial justice and equity in cities across this nation. There are protesters in the organization in operation here in Clarksville. If you are elected to serve as your ward council representative, how would you advise city government when responding to the demands made by Black Lives Matters advocates? Margaret?
I appreciate those young folks sitting out there on Wilbur Rudolph for 93 days. It could have went a lot differently. I also appreciate the fact that Mayor Pitts came out of his house at 10, 11 o'clock at night to meet with them, because it could have went a lot differently. We could have been on the national news, and because they talked. I wish they would have talked more and some more changes could have occurred. I would like to see some more community involvement. I like to see the police departments in the community more. I know we have the coffee with a cop, but unfortunately that occurs during the workday where the youth are at school and business people are at work. I love the mayor's summer night lights where the officers do get to go out and play with the kids in the community, but it's only certain people in the community. It's not the entire community. It's not as, I like to see it more widespread. I would like to, I'd like to see some review, some community review over some of the issues. I haven't personally had any issues with the Clarksville Police Department. I can't say that for the sheriffs because I have had some sheriff's officers try to escalate some issues, which is crazy because I work with SROs every day. But some people there was one who didn't know me and thought he was going to bully me into doing some, you know, and it was unfortunate because I was with somebody of color who I had to weigh the issues in because I was ready to go in, and the person I was with looked at me like, please don't get us killed today. And so I had to step back a little bit, like, okay, I'm gonna take my white privilege and go sit down. So you know, for your sake today. So it's 30 seconds. But I would like to see some more intervention as far as the community, because I don't think, it's just two different perspectives. I don't think the community sees the police perspective, but I don't see the police don't see the community's perspective always. And if they got together and talked, it would be maybe more gelling and she like threw up the stop sign. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Margaret. I appreciate you. Okay.
I try.
Okay. What is your definition of tax incentive financing, TIF? And how do you think TIF should be applied within our local community? Tim, would you start that one first, please?
Can I go back to the Black Lives Matter?
Yeah. Did I not let you,
No, ma'am.
oh, I am so sorry, dearie. I am so sorry. I looked over here. I guess I didn't mark it off. I'm so sorry. Go ahead, please. That question.
Okay. I was in the second Black Lives Matter march where we marched from Austin P next to the stadium to the courthouse. Do we need a solution with the police department, and not just the police department, everybody in this town? And yes, we do. We are fortunate enough that we have a better than average police department in Clarksville, but that doesn't mean that we don't have a problem. And what I mean by that is, my father taught me when I was a young man, you don't know anything about a person till you walk in their shoes, and that all people matter. The Black Lives Matter thing is being destroyed on the national level. I'll just go ahead and say it. State and national level has dropped the ball on this. And until we wake these people up in Nashville and Washington, D.C., and demand that they listen to what is actually going on, we're in trouble. We're in a hurt. My son-in-law is a African Korean American, and I witnessed firsthand this past summer. We went into a restaurant in Liverpool, New York, and there wasn't but 4 other groups in there of 3 or 4, and we were refused service. And I knew it was because my son-in-law, he appears to be more African American than he does Korean. And when I saw what happened in front of my grandchildren, I got angry, and luckily I didn't hurt somebody. But yes, we need to sit down as a group of politicians and say, enough is enough. Let's sit down and talk this matter out. Thank you.
Thank you, hon. All right, let's go back to the what is your definition of tax incentive financing, TIF? And how do you think TIF should be applied within our local community? Tim?
Well, I'm not really a big fan of TIF agreements, and because they don't, for lack of a better term, spread the wealth around where it needs to be. We wind up when we do the TIFs. We wind up most of the time giving the developer and the corporations are the ones that get the break. It would be real nice if we said, okay, we're gonna do this in lieu of your taxes, but you've got to pay a certain percentage to say the Head Start program. You've got to pay a certain percentage over to these community programs that we have. And instead of the governments and the citizens having to foot the bill for these programs, if we make them put a little bit into our community programs, we'd be a whole lot better off. You can't find out what TIFs basically what they're given, especially on the state level. They want to hide those figures. They want to hide those dollars that they're giving away, and it's almost just almost impossible, to be able to find out exactly how much we do give away. Thank you.
Margaret?
They look good up front, but in the long run, it will hurt the city. It hurts the city as far as collecting property taxes. in the long run. So I don't like them. And I can give you a long discussion about how it hurts, but we end up giving away more money in the long run than we do collecting.
Okay, thank you. What is your definition of Title VI? And what, if anything, could you do to make sure the program is being executed in accordance with federal mandates? Margaret?
All right, Title VI. We're talking about Title VI. I would like to see Title expanded. That's just my personal opinion, because we could talk about hair, we could talk about sexual identity, we could talk about a whole bunch of different things that we could expand Title VI into. But to make sure that it is implemented in the city, if you talk about contracts, the city sets aside federal funds for minority businesses. It includes women-owned businesses, but a lot of people don't know about it. And then the people who do know about it apply for it, but they don't know that they have to be registered minority businesses. They have to go to flynashville.diversitycompliance.com to become a registered minority business to be able to qualify for these federal funds that are set aside. So these are things that it's not advertised. And then when you bid for these businesses, I don't know who goes over them, but say I bid for a business, but your friend's going over the business. Your friend comes and says, hey, I need you to bid this amount. So you win the bid. Stuff like that, I know happens. I believe it happens. We need to make sure that everything's on an even keel. That's just my opinion. How do we make that happen? It's that transparency. It's that sunshine stuff everybody keeps talking about. We can't go in the back room and discuss it, and that's probably why that's why those are in place. But everything just needs to be out in the open. That's transparency is the key as far as that. And then, like I said, I'd like to have it expanded.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Margaret. Tim?
All right. This goes back to the Civil Rights Act of 1964. And, it prohibits discrimination based on race, color, and national origin for any program and activities receiving federal financial assistance. One of the big people to help get this started was President Kennedy back in 1963 is when he really started pushing for it. We need to educate the people out here in the public about how they can file complaints, what is exactly right. Maybe once every so often, every quarter or so, we need to send out a mailer citywide and let people understand what Title VI is about, how they can complain if they are discriminated against. I grew up, and like I said, in the Providence. I was in a second grade class with the first Black female student at Burns Darden sat right beside of me. And we have gone back in time as far as the strides we had made 50, 60 years. I had no problem whatsoever growing up in the 60s and the 70s. Black, white, didn't make a bit of difference in the world to me. As long as you were doing what you're supposed to do, I don't care if you're black, white, green, or yellow. I could care less. But we have gone so far back in the last 4 years that it's not even funny anymore. And what I mean by funny is it's just absolutely ridiculous and crazy. We need to get back and we need to educate the people exactly what Title VI is about. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Now, this is a long question, okay? Studies has determined that professional civilian oversight of law enforcement agencies can transform organizational culture in a positive way. Changes in technology, widespread access to the internet, smartphones, 24/7 access to continual loops of news, and organized activism is just a few of the factors nudging law enforcement toward the future of professional civilian oversight. Across the United States, policing has changed drastically, and professional civilian oversight could be exactly what is needed to regain legitimacy, boost morale, increase the hiring of diverse candidates, and improve public safety. As an elected representative of your ward, would you support the creation and sanctioning of a citizen review board for the city of Clarksville? Please explain your response, pro or con. Tim, would you go first, please?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Well, uh, you, the statement you made is exactly right. 40 years ago, it was your word against my word. Now we see it firsthand, recordings, excuse me, firsthand recordings of these incidents. And some departments have the gall to stand there and deny what happened. I am all for, and as a career law enforcement officer, I always tried to handle myself in the fact that knowing somebody was always watching me. And I would be all for these boards. Exactly. Yes, ma'am. Right down the middle. We got to do something like that because I'll tell you right now, with firsthand knowledge, what a police department sees is different than what the citizens see. And we need a mixture of both of them and let them come together and let a group decide, not just, you don't let a bank robber or a murderer try themselves in court. So if we had the system where we had citizens review boards and things like that, and everybody having some input into it and saying, well, hey, you might have saw it this way, but we saw it this way. And that is just another way for the citizens to have a voice in what's going on. And I believe if we got together like that, it would help a little more, a little more trust from our citizens and a little more trust in people looking to get into law enforcement. But I would be 100% for a citizens review board. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Margaret?
I guess it's a kind of a continuing about the coming together and gelling as with my BLM responses. I would want to see citizens on a review board, but I would want to see also officers and maybe some attorneys, because the citizens don't necessarily know the policies and procedures of the police department like the officers would. And then the citizens don't necessarily know the laws like a lawyer would. I would want to see like a team where they could get together and share a perspective as to what's going on in the community and make a unified or like a jail type a review board, a committee, and not just one perspective of the citizens or one perspective of a police department, but together as a committee review board, if that makes sense. That way it's not the police and the police. It's not the citizens judging what the officers are doing. It's together. They're sharing perspectives and discussing what's going on within the community as far as, the officers are concerned and the community is concerned, and then deciding what's right, what's wrong, what needs to be changed, what could be better, and working together, because that's what it is. The officers live in the community as well. And they should have a say so in what goes on in their community, but the community needs to make sure that, the officers are doing what they need to do. So I think everybody needs an input, and they all need to work together.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. The city of Clarksville was recently voted best city to live in. With this designation, there will be a mass infiltration of residents locating throughout our community and county. As a member of the city, what is your plan to address the increased congestion that will accompany the increase in population? Margaret?
Well, there's already an increase in population. We already have congestion. It's crazy because every day I come up Riverside Drive and every day it's crowded. And I was like, why is this road always crowded? I pulled up a map. It is the only way to get from the south to the north. If you live in wards 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, parts of 6 or Woodlawn, and you work at the Foundry or A.O. Smith, or maybe even out at Electrolux, if you're getting off work and the schools are letting out and they're all getting out at the same time and you're trying to come up Riverside Drive, that's the only way to go. I mean, it's crazy. They need to build another road. They need to, oh goodness, there's so much to, look, I could talk about this all day because I've been thinking about it hard. Instead of doing all the urban sprawl, instead of spreading out everything, we need to keep our farm and our green space. It's actually more cost effective to fill in some of the spaces. I do have some concern though, that right now they're trying to fill in one particular space at the same time. The city just, we need to fill in different spaces, and we need to build up the infrastructure as we fill in the spaces. We need to build up our businesses. We have so many people with college degrees. I want to say it's like, what, 16% graduate level degrees, but they're having to travel to Nashville to work or work outside their degree areas. So we knew we could bring in more businesses. Goodness, there's a whole bunch of brand new stores that they put right here on the corner of Craft and Craft and Providence that have been sitting empty for months, that they could put stuff in, especially with the new event center that's going downtown. The Providence area is going to be prime for business with the event center going downtown, and they just put the casino. So they got that area in between that, really could be built up. There's so much. I'm excited about it. I could see so many things going on in the community that we could really Clarksville is the #1 place to live, and there's so much potential that we could create with it. And I'm excited about it. And I want to do. That's it.
Thank you, Margaret. I appreciate you. I can tell you're excited about it. Tim, your turn, please.
Thank you, ma'am. We're in, I said this in the last debate that we were in. Clarksville's in a very unique situation in that it has been our main thoroughfares, our main arteries are state roads, and we're at the mercy of the state on a lot of this. I have pushed with Representative Johnson. I have been pushing with Senator Powers about completing 374, 101st, take it on off Dover Road, bring it around, and try to eliminate some of the traffic. And the problem is Boulevard, unless you're willing to pay a sack full of millions of dollars, you're talking about taking away people's property up there, closing up businesses. Like when I grew up, it was the Providence Boulevard was 4 lanes, no turning lane. Well, at least we got a turning lane put in finally. The state come in and put 374, 101st out to Wilma Rudolph. That was going to eliminate our traffic problems. Well, we see that didn't do a whole lot. And every day you drive by out there, somebody's adding a new business. And it goes back to what I said earlier. We are not being smart on our growth. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. I'm going to catch flack over it, but I'm going to say it. We're letting the developers determine how we grow. I saw a thing the other day and they were talking about, well, they're finally going to put a new subdivision in Woodlawn. I was dancing in the street. hooray. It's something that's going in. It's not right stuck in the middle of the city of Clarksville. I want Clarksville to grow. I want it to be a thriving town. But eventually, you remember what I said earlier, when you have to spend over $500,000 to just relocate your water and sewer lines and your gas lines, how long does it take us to make that up? You know, we can build 10 new subdivisions, but how long is it going to, the average property tax is $425 in this town. How many 420? And remember, we put everything that we do is out of that $425 a month, not just roads, not just streets, everything else that we do, fire protection, police protection. So we're in a quagmire, and it is going to take a wizard to figure it out. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, we're gonna do one more question and then we're going to let y'all sum up, okay? Although the city council is not responsible for supporting the local schools. However, due to the constant increase in the number of students arriving in Clarksville, Montgomery County that will be attending our schools, would you support increasing the amount of city sales tax revenue that are currently being supplied by the city council to support Clarksville-Montgomery County school system? Please explain. Let's see, Tim, please.
All right. Okay. I don't know whether people realize or not, but the city gives 75% of their sales tax revenue to the school system. Last report I remember, it was like we gave like $6-7 million worth of sales tax to the school system, and the city got to keep $2 million. The county only puts in 50% of their sales tax. And that's one of the blames right there. The other day, there was a developer came in and was wanting a rezoning out on Needmore Road there beside the school on Fire Station Road. 999 people will live in those apartments. When you use the national average, that's over 250 children. People on the city council were worried about whether or not the developer is going to provide sidewalks to the school. I said, I don't care if you're going to bring them in a limousine. Where are you going to put them? That is one of our problems with our school system, is that when I'm part of the city council, when we vote to rezone something, we've got to wake up and realize, let's look at the school. We got schools that are sitting with less than full capacity. We got schools that are sitting with over capacity. We need to start looking at smart growth, saying, no, our schools are already overcrowded in that area. You know, they're running 110%, and you're wanting to add 250 more kids to the school. I am all for education. My wife taught school for 40 years. I'm all for education. And we need to sit down, city, county, and the regional planning commission together and say, what can we do to eliminate all this extreme overcrowding in one area? Thank you.
Okay, Margaret.
Okay. Goodness. This is important to me because I am a school teacher, and I see what the crowded schools look like, what the halls look like when they're overly full and the kids are changing classes. It's crazy, like crazy. It's little ants on a log. As far as the taxes, if you did like 0.5%, I probably wouldn't die. I would have to ask the constituents. Like I said in the earlier question, I would have to ask the people. If I'm representing the people, I would want to know what do my people want. For me, 0.5% isn't that much. I would want to know what my people would want. So I wouldn't speak until I could ask, I might knock on some doors, call some people and ask them what their opinions were before I would actually do a vote.
Okay, now recognize, I'm not saying increasing our sales tax. I'm talking about the sales tax that's already being revenue, that's already revenue. Increasing the sales tax that's already.
Okay, so we're not raising taxes.
No, I'm not talking about raising
because I'd have
taxes.
to ask somebody for a raise the tax.
I'm talking about the revenue that you already have.
Just giving them some more money?
Yeah.
I'd have to look at the budget as well. I mean, where's the money going that we have now? Because we still do need sidewalks. And I know he said it was, the school, we need more schools, but hear me out, because my nephew lives directly across from his school and they have to provide him a bus because there's no sidewalks. Literally, his school is closer than his bus stop, but he has to go to the bus stop because there's no sidewalk. If that's not crazy enough. It costs more to bus him to school where he could actually walk if there was a sidewalk. If that's not crazy. So if we're looking at weighing costs, would it not be less expensive to build a sidewalk today, so in 5 years, we would have saved that money on the bus? So yes, we could give them more money, but would it not be cheaper to take that money and build a sidewalk so those kids who we are busing today could walk to school in 5 years, and then in 10 years time, we recoup those funds in taxes? You just got to look at the budget. I mean, everything's like a what if, or how could you? You're just talking hypothetical. So I would have to look at each different scenario. As a single parent, I had to be creative with my finances. If I budgeted for a $200 electric bill and it came at $400, I had to figure it out. If I had two pieces of bread and an egg and a half a pound of beef, and I had 2 people to feed for 3 days, I had to figure it out. So when you're talking about taxes and budgets and what are we going to do, you figure it out, but you have to, you have to micro it. Where does it fit? So, when you're talking hypothetical, it's hard to decide. When you break it down and lay it out, I can look at the data. I'm a math teacher. I could break down the data. But you put that data out there in those numbers and I'll get it together. Hypothetically, there's so many different scenarios I could come up with. I don't mind giving more money if that's what makes sense. But if it doesn't make sense in the long run, if 5 years from now, it costs more to give them more than it would be to spend it over here and save money in the long run, then no.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Hank. Margaret, I'm going to let you go first. You can give us your closing statement. Okay.
Oh, goodness.
You got 2 minutes.
2 minutes. 2 minutes. So we've talked about a lot of different things today. And I really didn't prepare a closing statement, but we have talked a lot of different things. We've talked about Black Lives Matter, police reform, taxes, and we've talked about a lot of different things. I'm excited about doing some good things for Clarksville. I think that it's a wonderful place. I think that I can work well with the people who are representing the different wards. I can work with the different commissioners. Mr. Woody's my guy. I have the education. I'm out in the community. I have the experience, and I have the I have the energy to get out and do what it needs to be done. I like to work. My boss tells me she's never met anybody like me, and I think that's a compliment, because I'll get out and do the work. I have no problem putting my hands on whatever needs to be done and making it happen. So I really appreciate your time today and letting me get my words out. And I would appreciate the vote of the people of Ward 4 and letting me do their will. Thank you.
All right. Thank you much. Tim?
All right, thank you. First of all, let me say that, yes, sidewalks is a touchy issue, but I'm chairman of the street department. We've just finished up putting all the new sidewalks in the subdivision. that service Liberty Elementary up to Northwest and to the Providence Middle School. And I'm not talking about the ones on Cunningham Lane, the ones that are actually down in the subdivision. A multi-million-dollar project was going to be sidewalks on Fort Campbell Boulevard. Working hard with the state, they have finally agreed they're going to cover it at 100%. They're going to go from Quinn Lane at Walmart all the way down into the middle into Providence. And then they're going to cross the road and go from Walmart to the Kentucky state line. I have worked hard. I have tried to do everything that I possibly can do to better the quality of life for the citizens of Ward 4 and Clarksville. I would like to say that I did get the endorsement from the Sierra Club for councilman in Ward 4. And the last thing I got to say is every day I pray to my God. The last thing I say to him is, bless us all worldwide, protect us all worldwide, because when it boils down to it, we are all children of God. Thank you for letting me speak tonight.
All right, thank you, Tim. Okay, all right. I am so happy that you guys came on board, okay, to talk with us today. I am now going to turn this over to President Garland, okay, for his closing statements also. Thank you. Okay, Jimmy, you are going to have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I would like to thank all of you for being on, Tim and Margaret, for being on the program, being on the panel tonight. And I assure you that the question about the Civilian Review Board would include people like judges, retired police officers, teachers, and people from the community. And the purpose of that board is not to control the police department, not to tell the police department how to do their job. It's just to have a mechanism in place for the community. If they have a complaint, they could come to the board. That board, made up of that diverse compilation, could help the chief to make a better decision on what happened when they was out there within the community. Again, we're proud to have you. We hope that you have learned something tonight. We have definitely learned something about both of you. Both of you spoke well. You knew your topic. And again, this will be going out on the airway by tomorrow. This time it'll be out there on our Facebook page. So God bless you. God keep you, and good night.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.